Hello, everyone. Again, now that you can hear me, my name is Cheldin Barlatt Rumer. I'm the CEO and executive producer of This Is It Network. We are a global network connecting remarkable women to inspiring stories. We do that through our community, the digital TV content in which we produce, as well as the real connections in which we provide. Today, I'm going to be talking about the ability to scream your dream, right? And this is something that I live by, only because I have two volumes. I have Silence, and I have Cheldin, which hovers around a scream, right? And so early in my career, I thought actually that everyone was an extrovert. I thought everyone was boastful. Everyone was shameless in the way in which they communicated. As years went by, I realized that that wasn't the case. After being shushed, after being told to relax, after being told to calm down, I don't suggest any of the three things with me. Don't shush me, don't calm me down, don't tell me to relax. It's in the best interest that that's not the case. After all of those various things, I was like, oh, I'm outnumbered. I'm outnumbered by people who aren't interested in using their voice. I'm outnumbered by people who don't know how to use their voice. In order to get to this point, there was a number of trials and tribulations, good, bads, and uglies that got me to this particular position. I wanted to be on MTV when I was younger. Remember MTV? Do you guys remember that? Okay, that was a thing. They played videos on purpose, right? And I wanted to be in the middle of some spring break in a bikini introducing Eminem. That was my goal and aspiration. And then I quickly realized I went to LaSalle University. I was a Division I athlete at LaSalle, which is interesting because now I don't run on purpose unless somebody's chasing me, and no one chases me anymore. But I was a Division I athlete at LaSalle, and I wanted to be on television, and I wanted to make sure that I put my presence in that space. I grew up watching talk shows. Do you remember those? Yeah. I grew up with Donahue and Sally Jesse Raphael and the goddess that is Oprah, right? In that space. And by watching her and by watching the art of educational entertainment, I was charged. I could go on TV, sit in front of my television at any given point and learn something new. And I could come to the table and explain something new. There was a format to it. There was a problem, then the doctor came in, and then there was questions from the audience, and then there was some kind of resolution. And I was like, ooh, could I do this with my life? I would love to do this with my life sprinkled with a little MTV. That was my goal. And then I realized, oh, marketing is how they make money. I took a marketing course, and that changed my life. It was not only the creation of content, but the purpose of that content. What were you trying to move? What were you trying to sell? It wasn't just having a voice. It was what you did with your voice, what your voice could do. Through marketing, you could figure out that your voice could move people. It could get people to buy things, get people to attend things, get people to change their perspective. And I thought that that was extremely powerful. And I knew that if I was able to take a little bit of that power, that I could make some changes. So as I developed in my career, I did a number of different things from hospitality and everything in between, and I landed on creating my own agency, social media, graphic design, web design, publicity. That was my goal. My goal was to tell stories for those that were unable to tell stories for themselves. And what I found abruptly, I was reminded again that the majority of people were not extroverts. There was the glasses lady, it was the t-shirt woman, it was the bakery woman who had the amazing chocolate chip cookies, but she could not part her lip to tell you exactly why you should buy her chocolate chip cookies. And I thought that that was tragic. She had remortgaged her home. She had sacrificed the bat mitzvahs and the events and hasn't seen her friends or the birth of her niece, all for these chocolate chip cookies. But then when given the opportunity, she could not part her lips to say, they're good. You should buy them. This is why you should attend my bakery. What I quickly realized is that the majority of people who do stuff got into business to do stuff. They didn't get into business to sell stuff. She got into business because her cookies were good. Somebody told her, you should start a bakery because your cookies are delicious. And she thought that that would be enough. All I have to do is bake cookies and people will come. I don't want to talk about the cookies or my grandmother's recipe. All I want to do is bake cookies. But then they hire people like me who like to sell cookies. So what I found out getting her ready for Fox Good Day and good old Mike Jerrick and getting her ready for the Today Show is that I became nervous. Because when given the opportunity, when put on that stage, when asked those tough questions about who she was, what she wanted, and why she deserved it, I was nervous that she could not share that with the world. The opportunity that she had to sell more cookies today than yesterday would fly by her. And I found that to be so sad, especially for somebody who was a natural extrovert. How do I do that? How do I teach somebody to no longer whisper their wishes, but to in fact scream their dream? So for me, that was my goal. My goal was to say, how do I do this? How do I create an opportunity? And I remembered that I wanted to be on MTV. I remembered that I loved television and the art of educational entertainment, and I was a documenter before Instagram and filters were a thing. And I pulled a camera from out of my desk and I said, we are going to practice. We're gonna talk about your cookies. I have a way about me. I make people feel comfortable. I transfer my energy to them and allow for them to feel strong even in that moment, and give them permission to celebrate all of their hard work. Oftentimes, people don't have that. You get nervous. The whisper comes from being unsure about what you're saying, unsure about the reaction that somebody else will have. That's when you start to slouch down. I'm an adjunct professor at Temple University and will be an adjunct professor at Drexel as well in the spring. My husband loves the direct deposit. He thinks I'm a little unstable, right? In that space. But my students, when I talk to them, they're in that space where they don't understand how to utilize their voice, the importance of their voice and what that means. And that being able to string the words together to share who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it is so, so important. So I would pull out this camera and I would begin to have these conversations. And for that one moment, they felt heard, they felt seen, and all of the nervousness fleeted away. And I knew that the majority of media outlets are not like that, right? They're like, let's talk about the cookies and now to the weather. I knew that this was a very unique space that I was in, and that I afforded people the platform to tell their inspiring stories, even if it's just 7 minutes at a time. But what else could I do? How could I encourage people to understand who they are, understand the importance of identifying what it is that they want, and even more importantly, how to string together why you deserve it? So I began to figure it out. Scream Your Dream cannot necessarily just be a hashtag. It can't be something that I tag on the end of every Instagram post, though I do. It has to be more than that. It has to be more than a motto. It has to be the way in which you look at things. I am addicted to trade shows and conferences. I am. I would come here in any form for you, my darling Robin. I would. I love a good recycled bag and a stress ball. I love a logoed pen and a tablecloth. I love, right? And I go and addicted to the keynote speakers. I would sit with pen and bag and I would take notes and I would be inspired. And at the time, no judgment, I would get into my Kia Sorento. It was a good car, very reliable. I would get into my Kia Sorento and say, how do I make this feeling continue? How do I keep it going? How do I keep this feeling going? And then as each exit would pass, the inspiration would dwindle. And I said, it can't be this. Scream Your Dream can't be this. It has to be not about being inspired, but staying motivated, because that's the rhythm. We can all be inspired, but our ability to stay motivated is what makes the difference. Our ability to look at ourselves day after day and say, okay, I'm going to train this muscle as I was when I was an athlete. I'm going to show up for myself as I did when I was an athlete. I'm going to be conditioned as I did when I was an athlete to make sure that I find out who it is that I am, what it is that I want, and more importantly, I deliver that. Because that's the hard work, right? All of us with our ice cream, sleeve of Oreos, and some Netflix, I can identify who it is that I am. But to be able to part my lips like my past clients and share who I am, that's when the magic comes in. That's when everything changes. Because it is not good enough for you just to believe it, for mom to believe it, for your mother to believe it, for your best friend to think you're awesome. It's not good enough for that to be the case. How can we share that with as many people as possible? But keep in mind, you can't be everything to everyone, and that's when we get held up, right? We become intoxicated with the likes and the follows and the fans, and we lose our purpose in it, trying to get more and not following on the quality of what it is that's out there. So I was victim to that. I wanted 1 million followers. I wanted to be bigger than I was, when I quickly realized that my brand is for a specific group of people. And the brand that I was building when I was young and wanted to be on MTV is not the brand that I have now. This Is It Network caters to women between the ages of 30 and 55. 21-year-old Cheldin in the bikini was not interested in Linda from Doylestown, right? But Linda's my people, right? If I'm on a Facebook Live and I don't see Linda, I'm concerned. I'm like, where are you? She's concerned she doesn't see me. I found my tribe. Not everyone needs to hear your voice. Your voice is not for everyone. I'm gonna give you a sports analogy as it relates, because I think that when it comes to screaming your dream, we get nervous that everyone's not going to receive us. Not everyone is for us. Again, I played sports ever since I could walk. And there are certain people in your life. I have tried not to dismiss people. I do my best not to unfriend. That one's hard. I do my best not to unfriend. But I departmentalize people. It keeps me sane. It keeps my life in a beautiful place. And I suggest you take heed in some of the ways. There is called what I call a season ticket holder. That is my mother. My mother would be here full-fledged, in the rain, in the snow, in the blanket, in the scenario. I have thrown events that have only had 2 people in attendance, and she would say, oh, it was so pretty. That was such an amazing event. You guys did such a good job. Oh, well, next time you'll try harder. She's a season ticket holder. Your season ticket holder does not provide you with any constructive criticism. Some of us are surrounded by season ticket holders that don't afford us the ability to look at life as it is. It gives us false hope and doesn't afford us the ability to grow. On the other side of that, again, in the sports analogy, we fill our stadiums with fans. If you are a sports fan, even in the slightest, we know that a sports fan can love you on any given Sunday, but also hate you on any given Sunday. These are the individuals who will wear the jersey with your name on it when you are winning. But when you are losing, my friends, you should have gotten rid of the quarterback. What's wrong with the coach? All of those various things. But keep in mind that the fans could never play your game. They would never make your team. We listen to these people who are not physically equipped to be on the field with you, but their voices mean more than the voices in our head. So I suggest we focus on what I call the huddle. The key group of people, and some of you think you need a lot of people in this group. It's no more than 5, ideally 3 people, and these are objective people. And I refer to the huddle in the way that I did my collegiate teammates. They knew who had an ankle injury. They knew who was hurt. They knew who had to leave practice early in order to take that test. They knew that if we lost on any given Saturday, that we still had to go to practice on Monday. Those are the people that you need to surround yourself with. Those are the people that deserve your voice. Those are the people that will allow for you to scream. As you navigate your space, I want you to understand, again, those 3 fundamentals, who you are. And if for those of you that are writing things down, I do everything in 3s. I just turned 43 on September 3rd, so just hang in there with me as it relates. So there's 3 things, your 3 life facts, 3 things that people cannot argue. I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. I'm an immigrant. I'm a former athlete. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. No one can tell me that those things are false. We hold on to the things that we are. Back in the day, it was church and state. You separate your home life from your work life. It was too much to bear. It's too much for people to handle. Now that is your differentiating factor. Your ability to talk to somebody about their kids, about their house, about their life, about their grandmother, about their favorite sport, things in which you absolutely love. So I suggest you identify 3 life facts. In addition to that, you need to love yourself, my friends, and identify 3 strengths. 3, you got them. I apparently love to talk and the sound of my own voice. So that is a plus for me. I am not shy, right? I am a leader, born leader always and forever. Right? And I have the ability to motivate people. These are my 3 strengths. I live and thrive in that space. But you also identify your 3 weaknesses. Get to know yourself. I am bad at math. You want me to have nothing to do with your Excel sheet. 0 things to do with your Excel. It belongs to someone else. Those of you that like math, you're welcome. You can have it. It's not my space. I'm slightly disorganized to my husband's dismay. Right? Things are just not where they need to be. And I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. I own that space. If you do not know your life facts, if you do not know your strengths, and if you cannot identify your weaknesses, you are flying in the dark. You are playing to things and you are making excuses for things you are no longer good at. I used to be one of those people that I wanted to be good at everything. Ego is driven in the entrepreneurial space. So I would say, I got it. I'm fine. If I say I'm fine more than 3 times, you need to call for help because I am not fine. I'm just warning you. If you hear me throughout the day, I'm fine, the hair's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. But I would convince myself that I had it all and I needed to be everything. Now I have an accountant. Now I have accounts payable and I can thrive on this beautiful couch as I am. I'm not struggling to find my voice. I'm not sheepish or whispering based on things in which I don't know. I talk to my students about what that feels like. And I say, well, how does it feel when you are about to take a test you have not studied for? How does it feel? You feel sick. You start sweating in places that you shouldn't. You're looking at the clock. You're wondering for it to count down. You're blaming your roommate's boyfriend for keeping you up. All of the excuses in the world as to why you are not prepared for that test. But how do you feel when you are prepared to take the test? Give me that pencil, that blue book. I got this. That's how you should feel about your own personal brand. That's how you should feel about your voice. And so I arm you to be able to identify your life facts and your strengths and play into them as much as you possibly can, to surround yourself with the huddle that will work with you, that will support you, that will see you in your darkest days and tell you not to quit, that will say, we will be okay if we do this. If we focus on this together, they will not shush you. They will not tell you to relax, and they sure as hell will not tell you to calm down. They will allow for you to have your voice in the uniqueness of what it is that it is. And it takes work. It's not one of those things that today, after you leave here today, Cheldin told me and everything's wonderful. It is a muscle. It is like practicing for an event. It's like practicing for a game. That's what it's like. Even professional athletes need to practice each and every day. They just don't show up and play the game. They practice. Grown men, adults, grown athletes. Serena Williams practices to maintain what she has learned, to continue moving forward. So I urge you to practice using your voice, because you will begin to remember it the way you remember your social security number. You will remember it the way that you remember your phone number. You will know who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it, because you are wrapped in it, because no one can take it from you, because it's your turn to be able to share it. And what it is that I've become has evolved. It has pivoted. Pivot is the word that I use when I don't know what to do, right? When things are so messed up and I'm living too much in the valley, I'm like, I'm gonna pivot because it sounds cuter than being a disaster, right? I'm just gonna pivot. Things are gonna pivot, right? It sounds better in an email or a social media post, right? Than I don't know what the hell's going on. So allowing yourself to do that, like I mentioned, the young Cheldin who wanted to be on MTV, if I didn't recall her, if I didn't call on her, if I didn't give myself permission to say, this is still a possibility, there was a reason why that lived in me. There was a reason why I wanted to communicate and why educational entertainment was a thing. And I was able to carry that with me. I think a lot of us deny who we are because it's not convenient, because it's not stable. We play on skills that aren't inherent to us. And we try our best to be fine, to be fine, to be fine. That is exhausting. Those of you that know actors, it is an exhausting thing to pretend to be someone else. It is an exhausting weight to bear. We only have 2 hands. And if you're carrying negativity and all you can't do, there is physically no room for you to carry what you are. There physically is no space for it. And so for me, my goal is to encourage people to do that and not to do it just in one stint. I do this thing called a morning message. My mother, my season ticket holder, when I was younger, I didn't understand her, as we don't as young women, right? We're like, she's insane. And she was this crazy, wonderful West African woman that I thought was completely mental. And I was like, she's not well. And she would leave Post-its throughout the house. Oh, I'd be brushing my teeth and it would be some scholar's quote on the mirror. I'd go to bed and stuck to my face would be some kind of quote from some intellectual. And I'd be like, this woman is crazy. This woman is crazy. And as an adult, and I let her be nuts because I really didn't want to open the box. You know when you don't want to ask your mother anything in fear that she will actually answer you? So I just let it go. And I said, you know what, Mom, I'm called to quotes as an adult. I'm like, I love quotes, I love them. And she was just like, the Post-its. right? And giving her credit for it. I said, why? And again, as an adult, you look at your mother and your parents and your guardians a lot differently, and you hear their words as poetic. And she said, I knew that oftentimes when life was hard, you would not be able to find the words. So sometimes we have to use the words of others to get through it. What? I was like, oh my mom, I'm sorry for ever judging you, right? I was like one of those moments. But that's what I do for all of you. My goal is to give you the words and inspiration when sometimes you don't. And this is from somebody who is an extrovert and is loud, and you can hear me before you see me, but I have to tell you that there are probably more valleys in my story than there are hills. But it's how I get through the valleys and the stories that I use in order to drive through the valleys that make me better at what it is that I do. A lot of us, especially as women, are oversharers. Okay? You overshare. Right? We start conversations with, I don't want to brag, but, and then you follow it up. You have 20 years of experience and you don't want to brag, but trying to make the other person feel comfortable with your accomplishments, as if it's something to hide. We start ourselves in our conversations in thinking as if we need to tell everybody the doomsday stories of our lives in order to justify where we are. I call it the highlight reel. First of all, I live in a lot of analogies. I know you're with me. I live in a lot of analogies. But the highlight reel is mine. I have a weird obsession with Jon Bon Jovi. I do. I think he'd love me. Don't you think he'd love me? I think he'd love me. And I love him. And I'd go to his concerts. I'd listen to his music on the way to the concert. How many of you love live music, right? We miss it. On the way to the concert, we listen to the music. We go to the concert, we sit, and we need them to play every song that I love. They get on stage and it's like, oh, I was just working on this and I want to share it. You're like, why do you want to share it? I didn't pay for you to share. I don't understand. What's happening? I have $90 in chicky fries. I don't want to pay for you to this is what I've been working on. And everybody's like, the lights go down, right? Because we pay for the highlight reel. We are there to see your greatest hits. Those people who want to hear your personal brand want your greatest hits. Your journey belongs in conversation 2 and 3 and 4. The greatest hits is all you are required to carry. The resume of life, the bullet points that make you shine, carry those instead. Again, those who love sports, my husband's in 3 fantasy football leagues. COVID be damned. I'm like, I thought we were gonna, no, it's a thing, right? 3 fantasy football leagues, very intense. Again, not playing the sport, but very involved. He watches something called the Red Zone. I don't know who's familiar. It's just the highlights. Can't even bear the whole game. Can't even see it, right? Just in the end zone. That's all we can stand. Oh, that's all we can handle. Why are we oversharing? Why do we need to take people who don't deserve to be on our journey with us through the valleys? Why are we doing that? Give people your highlight reel. Give people your greatest hits. Give people your red zone. And I promise you, you will build the confidence over time to be able, again, to no longer whisper your wishes, but in fact, scream your dreams.